Do we have someone who is introducing our speaker for today? Wonderful. So I would love to introduce the wonderful Esther Miller, who will be introducing the wonderful Nathalie Ross. And thank you for, I think, Esther, you brought Pray in Pink to our congregation last year. So thank you for organizing our first and second annual Pray in Pink.
Thank you, Rabbi. I'm so glad to see so many people here tonight for our second Pray in Pink. So welcome. I want you to know that this year is the fourth year that Pink October has been observed for Breast Cancer Awareness Month. People around the world add pink to their clothing or a ribbon to raise awareness about the importance of prevention and routine screening for early detection of breast cancer. It is now the second most commonly diagnosed cancer globally. Breast cancer awareness can mean different things to different people. For some people, it's a trigger. 31 days in the fall of pink ribbon, reminders of a disease that forever changed them. For others, it's a chance to show their support for more than 2 million women around the world who are diagnosed with the disease each year. The best protection is early diagnosis, early detection. Did you know that 85% of breast cancer occurs in women who have no family history? 1 out of 8 invasive breast cancers are diagnosed in women younger than 45. Women are not the only ones at risk. The lifetime risk for breast cancer for a man is about 1 in 1,000. In October, we remember those who fought and won, those who are still fighting, those who fought to the end, and those who are yet to fight. Famed breast cancer survivor Ruth Bader Ginsburg wrote these powerful words: "Fight for the things you care about, but do it in a way that will lead others to join you." So go walk, run in a Joy to Life walk or a Susan Coleman walk. Go to Pink Outs. Go to Evenings in Pink that the hospital sponsors. Let's do things to celebrate, to remember, to fight for our friends, and let's kick cancer's butt to the curb. Tonight, we have one of our very own members as a speaker, Dr. Nathalie Ross. You'll have an opportunity in the oneg room to ask her questions. This evening wouldn't be possible without the help of several other people. I want to thank Nathalie for sharing her story with us and also for sponsoring the lovely oneg with Inclusion Initiative tonight, and also for the lovely tote bags she made. And I want to thank Linda Markowitz for helping me do some baking. So, just a little bit about Dr. Nathalie Ross. She's a Jewish food historian and a recent graduate from UNT. She moved to Dallas in March of 2020 with her husband and 3 dogs, followed by her twins and her youngest son, who came to visit for spring break and, thanks to COVID, never left. Dr. Ross writes about and lectures Jewish foodways and cookbooks, as well as the Holocaust in Greece. Her work has appeared in Prism, La Dente, the Graduate Journal of Food Studies, and ExploringJudaism.com. Her dissertation manuscript is under advanced contract with Wayne State University Press anticipated in 2027. Nathalie was diagnosed with breast cancer in 2021 and has been passionate about integrating her experiences as a yoga teacher, lifelong runner, Jewish scholar, and artist in her healing and in her recovery. In her spare time, Nathalie loves to travel with her family and is an avid collector of vintage Judaica and cookbooks. You can find her searching for unique treasures weekly at the DFW area estate sales. Nathalie, it's my pleasure to have you speak tonight. Come on up. We're honored to have you.
Well, good evening. So, is this cancer? I asked. Is it bad? And the ultrasound tech wouldn't even really look at me, but she wouldn't answer me. Not that I really expected she would, and she just asked that I wait for the radiologist to come in. As Dr. Miles came in, she zoomed right in on the spot on the ultrasound, and she said, well, we need to have this biopsied. And again, I asked, is it cancer? And she wouldn't give me an answer, no matter how differently I asked the question. And she just simply said, I'm very concerned. And I left the mammography center really shaky and scared and confused. My biopsy was scheduled, this was COVID, my biopsy was scheduled for 2 weeks later. And in that time, I went home, I tried to Google concern, along with pictures of tumors in hopes of diagnosing myself. And I didn't know it then, but that was the beginning of my journey as a cancer patient. And in hindsight, instead of leaving soulless, frightened, and anxious, determined to find answers on Google, I should have insisted that my mammogram and my ultrasound results be explained to me in a way that I understood them. And I vowed never to leave a doctor's office or a procedure again without the knowledge to make confident decisions about my health. So I had no history of breast cancer in my family. Barely any history of cancer, period. And I really foolishly thought that I just wasn't the type of person who was going to get cancer, as if there is a type of person who gets cancer. And I really found out cancer is an equal opportunity opportunist. So the radiologist's concern turned to needing a biopsy, which indicated a high-risk lesion called ADH that was benign and should just be surgically removed. So this was July 2021, it was still COVID, and my OBGYN said, go about your business during the summer. She didn't express any sense of urgency, and so neither did I. I went on about my summer, relieved, this is not cancer. I had surgery almost 2 months later, and a week after that, on Friday, October 1st, 2021, my daughter and I were sitting in a Fort Worth restaurant waiting for our orders of queso and nachos. And the phone rang. It's Dr. Dow, she said. I have unexpected news. So I knew it was probably not good news that she was making a personal phone call on a Friday afternoon. The pathology came back and it's malignant. So you have an ER positive, PR positive, low-grade tumor, and it's primarily hormone-driven. It should respond really well to radiation and hormone therapy, and I don't think you're gonna need chemotherapy. And frankly, that was a lot of news to digest on an empty stomach, and I could see my daughter's confused look. Dr. Dow continued, we caught it early, it doesn't look like it has spread, so you're scheduled to see the chief of radiation oncology on Tuesday at Baylor's downtown campus of the Sammons Cancer Center. And all I could think was that my daughter had overheard the conversation and there was no way of shielding her from it. And how was I gonna tell my husband and my boys? As an only child, how was I going to tell my 80-year-old mom? So I'm sure that we all take in difficult information in our own ways, and frankly, my initial reaction was to prepare for a future in stand-up comedy. I cracked jokes, I deflected, I minimized my fear. But I was now one of 8 women in the US, or 13% of American women, who are diagnosed with breast cancer during their lifetimes. And the rate is even higher for Jewish women who disproportionately carry the BRCA1 and BRCA2 genes, which genetically predispose women to breast and ovarian cancers. And October 1st just happened to be my turn. So my father and maternal aunt had been diagnosed with colon cancer, but no other family members had a history of cancer, and none had been diagnosed with breast cancer. I tested negative for BRCA, but the reality is that most women who are diagnosed with breast cancer do not have a family or genetic history. Nonetheless, though, I did have some risk factors that I was unaware of. So early onset menstruation. I was 10 years old when I had my first period. Dense breast tissue. This had been flagged since my very first mammogram, but I never asked what that meant. So every mammogram should have a BI-RAD score, which is a standard system that describes the findings of a breast screening. So you should know your score, you should know your risk, and you should ask about 3D mammograms, ultrasounds, or additional screening if you are a candidate. And then previous breast surgeries or breast biopsies. In 2015, I'd had an inconclusive biopsy which had led to a lumpectomy that luckily came back benign. But that scar buildup, that tissue buildup, just like dense breasts, makes imaging more difficult and likely to miss a growing mass. So that Friday afternoon, I'd walked into the Yucatan taco stand as a hungry customer, and an hour later, I walked out as a cancer patient. And as I started to let people know, eventually writing a social media post so that I wouldn't have to relive telling people endlessly, messages and texts started to pour in, telling me things like, cancer picked the wrong person to mess with, or you'll kick cancer's butt. Others said, you're a fighter, you're a warrior. And while it was really comforting to see so many people reaching out, even in the best of intentions sometimes just missed the mark, or at least it did for me. It just felt a little bit off. They made me feel like I needed to be positive and cheerful when really I was feeling scared and angry. Throughout my journey, I kept a diary and I wrote down some of my thoughts. And as I prepared for tonight, I decided to go back and read some of my entries. While I would never wish cancer on anyone, I did gain some insight and some clarity from that experience, and I thought I would share just a few of my biggest takeaways in no particular order. The first is, if you want to be a friend, be there the whole time, not just in the beginning. The boring middle and post-treatment are equally tough, and they are often when people are most in need of a little bit of support or someone checking in. While many friends had moved on to new projects and exciting trips, I hadn't. Everyone sent me well wishes in the days right after I was diagnosed, and while that was appreciated, I was not yet beaten down by cancer. I really needed a text, an email, a care package when I was dealing with radiation burns and radiation fibrosis. My husband's first cousin, coincidentally called Nathalie as well, was going through breast cancer about 6 months ahead of me. And she and I texted each other every single day, sometimes not responding, sometimes responding hours later. It just let me know that she was thinking of me. And Nathalie let me know up front that she did not expect a response from me. So she never asked questions that necessitated an answer. She just let me know that she was thinking of me. Number 2, keep it short and simple. So if you've heard of the KISS principle, it works really well when a friend is diagnosed with cancer. So before my diagnosis, when a friend was sick or ill, I think I always wanted to say just the right thing. I wanted to make things better. I wanted to say something really inspirational. Frankly, the discomfort of not knowing what to say probably made me say some really stupid things. And that said, people have said a lot of really, I know, well-meaning, but thoughtless things. Things that really should just never be said to someone who's ill or going through cancer. I mean, like, seriously, never. Things like, you're so lucky it was caught early. That can be reframed to say, I'm sure you're relieved it was caught early. But cancer is never lucky. If you can reframe that question in a way that allows for the person to express their feelings instead of fake, toxic positivity. You'll be allowed to have a genuine conversation. If I could tell you how many times people said to me, "Oh, you got the good kind of cancer." And in so many of those moments, if I was going to take my comedy act on tour, I would have said, you know me, only the best. I picked it for that reason. But no cancer is good. Maybe some are more treatable than others. It is not a competition. Your cancer and my cancer, nobody wants to hear cancer. Stage 1 or stage 3, chemo or no chemo. The word cancer is overwhelming and scary. And at the time, I didn't want to hear about your Aunt Sally who had just died from cancer. I also really didn't want to hear about your son's piano teacher who had just run an Ironman while going through chemo. Everyone's medical history is private and personal, and unless specifically asked, don't offer nutrition, exercise, or medical advice. So was there anything that people could say that was helpful? Well, I would say, when in doubt, say nothing. It actually, little is necessary to be said. I think other than the words of wisdom of a rabbi, there is nothing that any of my friends said to me that really sticks out as being particularly profound or deep. If anything, I remember the words that were insensitive and that preemptively robbed me of feeling anger or fear or grief. And I know that people meant well, but all that was necessary was, "That's really tough. I'm really sorry. I'm thinking of you." I didn't need a cheerleader. I didn't want anybody to fix this. I just wanted someone to allow me to feel what I was feeling. I think Lin-Manuel Miranda said it best when he wrote the Hamilton lyrics that said, "Talk less, smile more." Decide what kind of friend you're going to be. The best of my friends reached out, not on Facebook, but they reached out in person, by phone or by text, just to say hi. They also told me that they were picking up prescriptions for me at Market Street, dropping off sandwiches for lunch. They didn't just say, "Let me know if I can help." And I've been guilty of saying those very words. Sometimes I meant them, and sometimes it felt like it was something I had to say, or I was being polite. But if you really want to help, don't ask. Don't ask questions, don't ask permission, just do it. I didn't always know what I needed, and I often didn't feel like responding to phone calls and texts. But I always appreciated and was always grateful to know that my friends were thinking of me and wishing me well. So know up front what kind of friend you're going to be, and then follow through. Show up. Don't make promises you can't keep, but also don't overcommit. And that said, life happens. Life is complicated for everybody. So if you find yourself, for whatever reason, unable to be the friend that you intended, let the person know why. One of the most hurtful experiences that I had was when a close friend ghosted me shortly after my diagnosis, and I spent too much energy trying to heal that wound instead of healing my illness. Last one is embrace and accept your vulnerability. If you really want to help, instead of saying, "Let me know if I can make a meal for you," ask, "Which day works best, Tuesday or Wednesday?" And this is especially directed at anybody who might be going through cancer or an illness or some loss. Say yes more often, especially to specific offers of help. I was always used to being the doer, the volunteer, the one who could always be counted on. I thought it was a badge of honor not to ask for help. So when my friend Haley said that she was setting up a meal train for me, I said no. I was a good cook, fully capable of taking care of my family. Haley wasn't asking. She was telling me that the meal train was already set up, and she just needed logistical details. And I resisted. I felt completely undeserving. I had the good cancer, the no chemo. I could take care of my own meals. But when the meals started coming in every single day for 6 weeks straight, they were so incredibly helpful. And I also saw that by saying yes to my friends, it allowed them to decrease their own powerlessness, to feel like they were part of my care. They could do something for me. Something else that was incredibly helpful as well was that my husband attended all of my doctor's appointments with me, and he wrote everything that my medical team talked about with me. And at first I resisted. You're busy, you've got work, I don't want you to take time off. And he came with me to all of my appointments, and I relied on those notes throughout my treatment when I couldn't remember what the doctor had said, when I was too shell-shocked over something. It was incredibly helpful to have a note taker. So if a family member, if a friend, if an acquaintance offers that help, take it. Remember my 80-year-old mom? So she's been known to be a little overprotective, and some would say smothering. And when she offered, or maybe insisted on accompanying me to all of my treatments again, I said no. And my husband really practically had to strong-arm me and say, it's a mitzvah, let her come. And it turned out, actually, that our daily drives to the hospital were a wonderful distraction. That when I was feeling down, there was no one else who could rub my back or make me tea just like she knows how. That as much as I needed my mom, she needed to be needed. And that's how she was going to get through this period of seeing her baby be sick. So as I surrendered to the care and generosity of my friends and my family, best delivered in limited choices and few, if any, decisions to make, I felt truly supported, which made it easier to get through the days when I was feeling grumpy and sad and angry. Back in 2021, it felt like my whole life had changed and had been consumed by cancer, and I felt like it would never be the same again. On November 9th, 2021, my diary entry read, "Yesterday was treatment number 10. Dr. Cheek prepared me for my new measurements, and I was embarrassed after my meltdown last week when he described my tumor and my tumor bed and the radiation process so far. But today I felt so different. I felt a wave of acceptance come over me, like it actually swept over me, and I felt like it would be okay. I will not worry about this forever. I will live my life and put this behind me. Cancer will not live in the present tense. I realize this isn't like all the cancer slogans about hope and faith, but about a decision and a choice that I'm making. I will trust that the doctors are right, that they will tell me that what they tell me is true, that what they see on my scans is accurate. I guess that it is an act of faith after all. I will trust and not verify this time. I will trust. I'm choosing to free myself of cancer once treatments are over, and I will not look back." And for the most part, I have not. So I stand here tonight 4 years after my diagnosis, and I remain cancer-free. Early detection was the key to my positive outcome. Well, that and maybe because I got the good cancer. But in all seriousness, though, my cancer was detected through a routine annual mammogram. I'd never missed a mammogram. And from 1 year to the next, a malignant tumor started to grow, which thankfully was detected. I didn't feel that initial lump. It was barely a centimeter. And it was made hard to detect because I have dense breasts. So that yearly mammogram saved my life. October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and there are pink ribbons and reminders everywhere. But these will fade and they will disappear. And as Jews, though, we have an obligation to take care of our bodies and our health. It is a mitzvah. So just like Moses explained to the Israelites as they readied to enter the land of Canaan, take utmost care and watch yourselves scrupulously. So if you haven't made your mammogram appointment yet, or if you've never gotten the screening, this is your call to action. Monday morning, make the call. Do not delay. When you look around the room tonight, the odds are that several of us will be diagnosed with breast cancer in our lifetime. Don't let that be you. So I used to think, why me, when something bad happened to me? But when I was diagnosed with breast cancer, I thought, well, why not me? Breast cancer is the most common cancer in women, especially in Jewish women. So I'm sharing my story tonight, not because it's special, but because it is ordinary. No genetic risk, no family history, just the luck of the draw. But as my family and I journeyed through cancer, I gained unique wisdom that I'm nonetheless grateful for, such as learning to be more compassionate and easy on myself. And more importantly, the ability to be in community with other Jews. the Torah portion actually tonight is particularly meaningful as the world, Breshit tells us the world was created that is a void. It is waiting to be shaped. And hearing the word cancer can often feel like chaos, that whatever is familiar to you will disappear overnight, that it is replaced by scans and appointments and treatments. But the Torah doesn't ignore the chaos. It names it methodically, slowly, day by day, and it brings light and structure to it. So just as creation unfolded in steps, not all at once, so does healing. And healing, just like creation, didn't happen in one day. Thank you so much for listening to my story. Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you for sharing. Yasher Koach.